Hey, hey, hey. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your humble host, Phys Ed Music, and this right here, this is Urban Politics. Want to thank you all for liking and subscribing as you do. Please, as soon as you have a chance, take your little cell phone over to YouTube, like and subscribe, Phys Ed Music, Urban Politics. But without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, I want to jump right into it like a car and drive, all types of tasty and delicious politics to sink our teeth into. We'll go over to politics, and I'm going to hit you with a few of my good IPAs of the week. I got two delicious IPAs. Knock your socks right off, ladies and gentlemen. But check it out. Let's get into a little politics, right? Because that's what you're here for. This is Urban Politics, so we're going to start with the politics of the day. Let's talk about the Proud Boys, or should I say, the not-so-proud boys these days anyway. Their leader, Enrique Tarrio, sentenced to 22 years in prison, which is the longest sentence to come out of the January 6 prosecutions. His charge was seditious conspiracy and leading a failed plot to prevent the transfer of power from Donald Trump to Joe Biden. Here's the thing. That's a huge deal. Whenever you hear people talk about, and I just say this because it's the first country on my head. I hate to even go here, but you know what I'm saying, because I don't like to talk smack about African countries, but the Congo. Whenever you hear people talk about that, they talk about a banana republic. Well, a lot of places like that are known for not having a peaceful transfer of power. Now, they're not the only ones. All around the world, this takes place. Happens in Argentina, happens everywhere. You know, somebody's in power. That guy has a following. He has people who love him. He has women who love him. They want him to stay in power. They like the job he's doing. There's these other people over here. They think the guy sucks. They can't stand this dude. They want him out of office. They think his policies are garbage. They think he's garbage. They want him gone. Right? So then an election happens. And that guy who was in office, the incumbent, he loses. Well, he didn't want to lose. And he likes that nice, comfy castle or nice, comfy office you got for the president of that place. So what does he do? He says, I'm not going to leave. I'm just going to stay here. And I think it's a rigged election. And we need to have a recount of the vote. Even though there's no proof the election was rigged, he just lost. But he don't want to lose. And he's the guy in there now. And he got a lot of power. So he said, I guess I'll just say I'm just going to keep on being El Presidente because that's what I want to do. And that's what you get, when they, you know what I'm saying, when they talk about coups and all this other military insurrection, all that crap of stuff. Doesn't typically happen here in America. Doesn't happen here in America. That's a huge deal. We have that peaceful transfer of power. They talked about that because this really came into play when Barack Obama was taking over the White House from George Bush Jr. There were Republicans who were heated about that. They were pissed about it, right? Excuse my language, it's a family show, but they was pissed about it. Oh, they was mad about Barack Obama winning, right? But they had said that the Bushes were so appropriate and so nice and did everything they could to set the Obamas up for success. And that's what's up. That's what's up. And George Bush Jr., I remember that guy. He's a conservative. He's a Republican. Now, they called what he was pushing kinder, gentler conservatism. Seeing how some of these jerks are these days, I think it really was kinder, gentler conservatism, which is still like, still like giving a knife to a baby. But whatever. His brand of conservatism was a lot more palatable than some of these Marjorie Taylor Greens and some of these other idiots that are pushing it right. But, it still is what it is. But when it came time to stand up and peacefully transfer that power, he did it. And the Obama said that their hats was off to the Bushes. And they said what they did was took a page out of their book when it was their turn to have to bow down and turn over the keys to the kingdom to Donald J. Trump. Now, Michelle Obama, she came out later on in the book and talked about how hard that was and how she cried about it, was not happy about it. But guess what? It was her civic duty. It was her duty as the first lady. It was Barack Obama's civic duty. It was his duty as our president or ex-president. This guy Trump had won the will of the people. The people had spoken and they chose this guy. So who did he give the keys to the kingdom to? That guy. And we all saw how that went. It was abysmal. But point being, that peaceful transfer of power. And that's what Trump messed up. And that is the reason why he's in this hot water right now. Just that right there. Because that's a huge deal, ladies and gentlemen. That's the only reason this democratic experiment works. That's it. And that's what you're living in right now. A democratic experiment. Can we have a government of the people, by the people, for the people? It was an experiment that continues to this day. And the only reason it's a worthwhile experiment is because of that peaceful transfer of power, right? So there's that. He was the leader, the organizer, who motivated, and they said he was motivated by revolutionary zeal. Said he showed no remorse. No remorse. This guy he ain't even acting like he's salty about it. He don't care. They threw this time at him. The Department of Justice sought 33 years in prison, but only got 22. So that's a lot of time, but they sought 33. That's how important this is, ladies and gentlemen. That's how big or serious a crime he committed by messing with that peaceful transfer of power. They wanted to give him 33 years. All they got was 22. I don't know what's up with that. I think he deserved more than 33. But anyway, moving on. Ethan Nordine and Joseph Biggs, two lieutenants in the Proud Boys, got 17 and 18 years respectively. Zachary Ruhl got 15 years. He was a chapter leader. Dominique Pizzola got 10 years. He was like a low-level member. So it wasn't just it wasn't just the leader who Enrique, who got the book thrown at him. Some of these other guys, they're going to do a whole lot of time in prison over their part in January 6th. I'm glad to see it. The DOJ was taking so long. Like, Merrick Garland, what are you doing out of there, man? Get your thumbs out your butt and prosecute somebody. So it's good to see some of these guys getting prosecuted. Now think about this. This guy, Enrique Toro, they're saying he was the leader of January 6th. But even he was being led to this, the reason he had this zeal for revolution was what? Donald J. Trump. Him spewing all that rhetoric, him hooking up people's jumper cables, making them think that the election is rigged and all these elections are rigged and government's been lying to you for years and we gotta, storm the Capitol and all of that. So think about that. If this guy, who if you ask me is right under Trump, got 22 years, how many years should Trump get? And we'll see what happens. But the difference between Enrique Toro and Donald J. Trump, well, number one is the name, right? Enrique. So we know what's up with that. So when I hear that, I'm thinking, Enrique, you might be el scapegoat. That's what I think Enrique is. He's el scapegoat. He will end up taking the fall for Trump's activities. You've already heard people holding Trump's water, talking about what does it help the country to have an 80-plus-year-old ex-president locked up? Who cares that he's an 80-year-old ex-president? He's a man who did wrong. This is a country of laws, right? So we are all governed by the laws of these United States of America. He broke the law. The man should be behind bars. But it won't happen. He's rich, he's white, he's protected on high by the Prince of Darkness himself. Trump will never do one day in the joint. He should. But people like this Enrique, they gonna take the fall. People like this Zachary Ruhl, he's taking the fall. This Ethan Nordine, this Joseph Biggs, these guys taking the fall for Trump. They some schmucks. They some jokes. They some F-boys. Excuse my language, ladies and gentlemen, but I don't know what else to call these people. They're subs, being dominated by Lord King Trump. Like, hey, if they like it, I love it. Live and let live. But, ain't got nobody to blame but themselves. And I feel bad for their families. I guarantee you some of these men got women. I guarantee you he got wives. I guarantee you they got a girlfriend. They got something. I guarantee you they got kids that's going to miss they ignorant while they locked up. First edition of all things. Silliness. Anyway, moving on, but that is what it is. A little accountability. Nice to see the Department of Justice finally serving a little bit of accountability. Anyway, moving on. Let's talk about 10 high-paying jobs that don't even require a degree. Now, I only talk about this because I've talked about on this show how it seems like a whole lot of fervor is leaving a college degree. There was a time when you went to college and you got that bachelor's degree, you got that master's degree, and it was almost, they'd actually put a price tag on it. They said, if you get a master's in this field, here's how much you'll make. If you get a bachelor's degree in this field, here's how much you make. Can't say that anymore. And these days of the internet, who wants to pay a bunch of money to go to some university to get knowledge that you could have got for free, Googling it anyway? See what I'm saying? Now, my son, he's 6 right now. But I feel like by the time he gets older, you know what I'm saying? I'm thinking 13, 14, 15, 16, college might be outdated. People might not even be doing that anymore. Because what's the point? People go to these institutions, they incur all this debt, they get a good job, but then they have to pay back these massive loans. So it's like that good job is kind of X'd out or negated by this massive debt. So it's lame. But here are 10 high-paying jobs that don't even require a degree. Life coach. You could have guessed. I guess you could have figured that one. Entrepreneur, real estate agent, sales director, commercial pilot, supply chain manager, software developer, project or program manager, police officer, executive assistant. Now, all of those I thought were pretty, cool. Whatever the list. I'm like, yeah, a lot of those I probably would value experience over college degree or whatever. But then this one right here, police officer. Now, this is something you don't need a degree for, but you probably should have a degree. My dad had talked about that because back when we were having like a whole lot of police shootings, we still have plenty. We still have too many, ladies and gentlemen. Sister just got killed in Blendon Woods and she was pregnant. Cop shoots her. You know what I'm saying? So we got a lot of that ignorance going on. Some of these police officers probably should have bachelor's degrees or better. I'm just keeping it real. All I have is an associate, ladies and gentlemen. You know what I'm saying? But I think a lot of these teachers, Lord knows, you know what I'm saying, they got different levels of education you have to be a teacher. But I think to be a police officer, you should at least have to have a bachelor's degree. Now, that probably wouldn't happen because the nature of being a cop is a job that you can kind of just get out of nowhere and make good money and feed your family. That's why you see so many like meatheads and idiots doing that job. And we don't need them in that job. Especially these days, like my dad said, with a lot of the influence we have of foreigners and other things going on. We have a lot of people in our society who have a lot of mental deficits, who have a lot of cognitive deficits. We need to have a man or woman with a brain in their head if they're walking around with a dog and pepper spray and a gun and a car and a whole lot of leeway. A lot of these cops are judge and jury right there. You know what I'm saying? They judge and like Judge Dredd right there in the hood. So we at least need this person to be a thoughtful person. We at least need this to be more than just a high school graduate. I'm sorry, more than just an associate degree. This needs to be somebody with a bachelor's or better, maybe even a master's degree. I spoke to a police officer years ago, and this guy was amazing. I watched him diffuse fights between young people and all of that, and he told me, he said, if you're a good cop, all you need is that. He said, between this and that, I can solve any situation. He said, I've been a cop for 30 years, I've never pulled my gun. That's what the brother told me. Been a cop for 30 years, I've never pulled my gun. He said, you know why? Because I got this and I got that, I can defuse anything. I don't need that gun. And every cop needs to have that mentality. But unfortunately, we don't have enough cops with this to be able to say anything good out of this. To diffuse a situation that's a problem, ladies and gentlemen. So of that list, I get it. A lot of these jobs, experience is going to be more than your degree or whatever you've learned in a classroom somewhere. But when it comes to like police officer, I'd like to see people with higher degrees doing that job because these days there needs to be a lot more care, a lot more thoughtfulness in that position. Anyway, moving on. That's that. But you know what I'm saying? That's something to think about. More politics. Now, the last thing I'm going to talk about before we get to my IPAs of the week is your dude. I was just talking about him. Let's talk about him some more. Dominating the news cycle all the time. Lord King Trump, Donald J. Trump. His mugshot came out. People was tripping. They said people was in Boston hanging out in the streets. I seen some TikToks of it. And they were cheering or whatever when it came across the screen. And we all saw the picture. Hilarious, man. Hilarious. Okay. So, after a 20-minute booking, Trump is now listed as inmate number PO1135809. So that's how I should be referring to him. I shouldn't even be calling him Donald Trump. I should be calling him inmate PO1135809 because that's his new name according to Fulton County Jail in Georgia. Anyway, Trump has now made history as not only the first U.S. president sitting as not only the first U.S. president sitting or former to face criminal charges, but the first to have their mugshot taken. Think about that. Here's a guy making history all the wrong ways. He is the first president sitting or otherwise to have a mugshot. I'm not saying that every president we have hasn't done something crooked, Barack Obama included. I'm keeping it real. Even the one brother we had. He was president. I'm sure he had to get his hands dirty. That's just that job. But none of them have had a mugshot. And they talked about that. They said that that sister in Georgia, that was the one thing that they were adamant about. It's like, we want him to come here and we want him to take a mugshot. Why? Because it's history. No one can change that. No one can change that. Like I said, my son is 6. In a minute here, he'll be studying history. He'll be 17, he'll be 18, and he'll come to me. Probably with the history book open. Well, they probably won't be reading books then. Maybe he'll bring me to the computer or whatever, probably on his phone. Bring me to the computer and say, Dad, who was this Trump dude? What was he doing? Is this serious? Did he really do these things? Yes. Yes. And it'll be history, it'll be public record, and it goes nowhere. Was he really a president who got a mugshot like a common criminal? Yes. That happened, and that's the reason why they wanted him to take that mugshot, because nothing can erase that. That's history, baby. He wanted to make history. He making it now, ain't he, baby? So there's that. He said it was a terrible experience, but added that he was treated very nicely. This dude's a weirdo. He gonna say it was a terrible experience, but I was treated very nicely. Then how was it a terrible experience? It was a great experience if you ask me. Let me tell you something. Have you ever had to turn yourself in? Me neither, but I got plenty of friends who have. It usually don't go this smoothly, right? And they didn't go down there and do a 2-minute, little song and dance, get a picture, then get on their private jet and go back to Florida. That ain't how it happened for them. They went down there, did that song and dance, and they had to chill because they ain't made the money. At that point, it was like, yeah, welcome to your new home for at least a couple of months or maybe a couple of years. You're behind these bars, right? So who else does that go for like that except somebody made of money? And that's Trump. So you know what I'm saying? It is what it is. So he gonna talk about, he was treated very nicely. I'm sure. This is America. You're a rich white man. I'm sure you got treated great. You know what I'm saying? For all the stuff that this guy has done, he should have had to do a perp walk. He should have been cuffed, and we should have all seen him be walked into the jail like any other common criminal. But of course, he got money, he got the complexion for the protection, so all that didn't happen to him, right? Fulton County has made history as well as the first institution to ever take a U.S. president's mugshot. Trump has 13 counts related to tampering with the Georgia election results. 13 counts. Woo! His trial could also be the first to be televised in Georgia. There's another fact in here too. I thought I wrote it down, but they were talking about how, Trump's this is Trump's 4th indictment, but first mugshot. So the man has been indicted 4 times, but 4 times he's been able to, duck and dodge a mugshot. This time it caught up to it. That's what I said. This sister is on it. This is the same sister who's going after Young Thug, Gunner, and the YSL gang, right? So she's on it. She's going after them, and she's going after Trump. All a day's work for this sister. She said, I'm a prosecutor. I'm going to get to prosecuting these guys, and I don't care who they are. The ex-president or one of the hottest rappers on the planet. I could give a DAMN. I'm doing my job over here. I love her for it, ladies and gentlemen, because you know what that is? That's real, man. She's a real one. Sometimes you go out here and you do your job, and guess what? People ain't going to like it. People are going to spread lies about you. The ex-president that you're trying to convict might spread a lie about you having an affair with somebody in this other case that I mentioned. But that's garbage, ladies and gentlemen. He pulled that out of his rear end because he's scared to death that this woman gonna lock him up, and she will lock him up. Lock him up. Anyway, let me move on. Can you tell I'm enjoying this? But But like they say also, this trial will make history because it could be the first one that they televise. Please do. Please do. Everybody on the planet is wanting to see Trump get some kind of accountability for just all the garbage he done got away with and done. So please do televise that, Fulton County. Do us all a favor. Give us all at least a good 5-6 days of must-see TV watching this scoundrel, this charlatan, this joke of a president, this joke of a person, this jack go to jail for a very long time. But like I said, he'll never do a day in jail because they say, oh, he's too old, he's too feeble, we'll put him on house arrest at his house. And you can ask Manuel Noriega how how house arrest works when you live in a mansion, in a castle. You could have anything you want at home anyway. Anyway, moving on, ladies and gentlemen. It's enough of that politics. Now let's talk about my other passion, IPAs. Here's 2 of my IPAs of the week. This first one is from Land Grant. This company makes some really, really good beer, and this is called Fruit Slices. Yes, and you can tell by this colorful can. This is some really good stuff. It tasted delicious. It had citrusy notes and such. It's 5.8% alcohol, which means you will feel it. It says citrus, juicy, light. It's all of that. It's all of that. Some of the hops are mosaic hops. This Amarillo, what are these? Centennial hops. Columbus grapefruit. Yeah, it says, we make beer for you. I heard that. Land Grant, they don't mess around. They get it in. And this is a good one right here. You got a little bit of money in your pocket. Run out and get this Fruit Slices by Land Grant. Goes hard. Here's another one. First of all, the can got you in the mix. You know what I'm saying? Look at that. Juicy Bear Hug. Come on now, that's good stuff. A hazy IPA. This is amazing. This right here is 7.3% alcohol. It's by Goose Island. It's a Goose Island beer. Goose Island's got really good beers, but like I said, that can right there gets you in the mix, man. That's like a bear with sunglasses on. Could it be anything cooler than that? You know what I'm saying? Juicy Bear Hug. This is really, really delicious. 7.3% alcohol by volume. What can I say? Like I say, you drink one of these, you're gonna feel it. Born in Chicago, 1988. So I guess that's when they started, and they started in Chicago. Can you even read that? That ain't right? Y'all can't read that. You can't read it, but whatever. That's what it says. Born in Chicago in 1988. Who knew? I love Chicago and I love this beer. You know what I'm saying? So Goose Island, they get it in. They got a few good beers, but this Juicy Bear Hug hazy IPA is really, really, really good. It's very juicy, and once again, it has those fruity notes, you know what I'm saying, that hit you after each sip. So good stuff, ladies and gentlemen. Well, look, that is my time. I'm your humble host, Fizz Ed Music. I'm Fizz Ed Music. This is Urban Politics, and as always, ladies and gentlemen, see you around like a donut.